All right. Hi. My name is Ivy, and we need to we need to talk. It is time to talk because it is important. Um, if you don't know me, which a lot of you don't, because well, I'm not really prolific. Um, I love black women. I do. I do. Big shocker. Big shocker. I love black women. I adore black women. I think black women are the best specimens to walk on this planet. I might be biased. I don't know. I identified as a black woman for about 18 years of my life. I'm 19 years old. I transitioned into identifying as a black femme because I felt as the term woman doesn't really suit me and my qualities as best as the term femme does because I'm feminine. But am I really a woman? No, but that's not important. What is important is the discussion that we need to touch upon today. And that discussion is, why don't we care about black women? And by we, I mean like everybody. I'm talking about white people, but I'm not really gonna be discussing white people that much for this little dissertation. It doesn't really matter right now for this discussion. Let's just keep it like that. This discussion. I want to really, and hopefully I can stop, swallowing. But I really want to touch upon like why don't we, as a black community, care about black women, and this includes other black women as well, because if we don't look at the problem on all sides of the spectrum, we will never be able to call it out and stop it. Now, I understand that a lot of people are not going to enjoy this video and might even want to retaliate because they never want to see themselves as someone who could possibly hate black women or possibly be prejudiced in every sort of way. Nobody wants to be seen as prejudiced. Nobody really likes the P word. It's like because prejudice is bad. It's bad. It's a negative connotation, and nobody wants to be seen negatively. Everybody wants to be likable. Whether if you're like the most unbothered and your Twitter bio is, oh, I probably offended you, oh, I'm the most hated. Everybody wants to be liked. Sorry, humans are social creatures, and if we're unliked, we are less likely to be social because nobody likes us. Okay, so we need to discuss to dismantle. We need to discuss to dismantle the hatred of black women and misogynoir. And this is going to center mostly black men, black women. Talk about the hatred so we can finally put a stop to it. We're going to be, today I will be, but in fact it's a little bit weird because this is an open discussion. We will be discussing, if I say that one more time I'm going to cry, but we will be talking about, to lay down the foundation of where this stems from, starting with slavery, because we're talking about Americans. So we're going to start about like what happens with slavery, and then slavery into now, because at the time of this filming, Drake had just released his album Her Loss, and it digs into Megan Thee Stallion, a tall, darker skinned woman who was shot, allegedly, I don't want to get sued, who was allegedly shot by Tory Lanez. And let's just talk about it. For the sake of this video, we need to talk about misogynoir. It's the big term of the day. It's a very important term, and not a lot of people know about it. Very thankful for the year 2020 when Black Lives Matter really resurfaced back into media, that misogynoir was being discussed, because I feel like even in 2016, when the word was first coined, I believe first coined and used by Moya Bailey, an African-American feminist scholar who also is a professor at Northwestern University. So with misogynoir, it can be broken down into two words, misogyny and noir. The co-constitutive anti-black and misogynistic racism directed towards black women and femmes specifically. The reason why it's really important to recognize misogynoir when you're talking about misogyny is because that black women receive an astronomically different form of racism, prejudice, discrimination than the other races. It's very unique to everybody, and there's the separation. It's there because in issues that also involve other races, especially white women, it is far too common. And black women will always get the short end of the stick, unfortunately. It's a sad truth and it needs to be discussed. As I stated before, I feel like black women, it took a while for them to get into the conversation, especially with things like police brutality, because we were focusing so much on black men, which is not a bad thing. The issue with police brutality definitely affects black men at a disproportionate rate than other races and the other genders and whatever. But it is also important to recognize the conversation that needs to be had and including black women in that, because the complete erasure of black women, which is what happened in previous years, previous to 2020, it wasn't really discussed. But like with people like Breonna Taylor and people getting more upset about like the discrimination against black women, they started using it and educating it more. And Sandra Bland, that was the name that I was going to talk about. With names like Breonna Taylor and Sandra Bland, Misogynoir was finally being more discussed. As I wrote in one of my essays about R. Kelly, for tens of years, almost a century, if not already a century, and surpassed a century, maybe a century and a half, because if we're dating this all the way back, we can go all the way back towards slavery, and representational images of black women have contributed to the negative perceptions of them and led to the detriment of black women. It shouldn't have taken so long when Black Lives Matter first started to circulate the organization, which we do not support. We do not support this organization. We only support the saying and the ideology, because the organization is doing their own thing. I don't even know what the hell they're fucking doing. When it started in 2012, it was a lot of just kind of skimming past black women, and unfortunately, it really took until the death of Breonna Taylor. It didn't even take until the death of Sandra Bland. It took until the death of Breonna Taylor for people to start talking. Not the death, the murder of Breonna Taylor, to really start talking and discussing misogynoir. Because even with the case of Breonna Taylor, her death was made into pop culture references and made into jokes and made into memes, and I felt like Arrest the Killers of Breonna Taylor wasn't more of a demand, but it was more of like a funny joke of to fucking make it cringy, they crave that mineral, or fucking whatever meme format there is. I remember during that time there was fucking TikToks of fucking people painting up their faces, Arrest the Killers of Breonna Taylor, and holding up their fists, and people making up songs and people making videos where it started with oh my god, I'm about to post my nudes, and they would be like, Arrest the Killers of Breonna Taylor, and I'm like, wait, this one was just murdered in her house. They did not do this to George Floyd. They didn't do this to Michael Brown. They didn't fucking do this to the collection of Ahmaud Arbery. They didn't do this anyway. But for some reason, Breonna Taylor was the one that everybody was like, let's slap it on a little logo and make jokes. If they weren't making memes out of something, they were completely just kind of posting about it once and then moving on to the next topic. An example, Sandra Bland. That case is really frustrating, and I really try not to talk about it because it's important to talk about it, but I really try not to talk about it because if I do, I get really, really upset, and makes you want to kind of pull like a Nina Simone and just go crazy on every person that you see. But it's important that we talk about it. So with the Sandra Bland case, her case, it happened years prior. In fact, she died in 2015. She died in 2015. This is around the same time as the Ferguson riots, which I believe that year, the same year where these riots were going on, because this happened for a whole year. for a whole year. Sandra Bland died in July, so she died towards the end of it. She didn't die, she was murdered towards the end of it. Her death was ruled as a suicide. We all know it wasn't a suicide. I remember being so young and I was watching that, and I knew even then, and I was like, what, 12 years old, that there was something fishy about it, something was wrong, something definitely was going on, and I wasn't comfortable with it, but I was just too young to understand, and I was in 7th grade, and I was like, okay, no, I'm just gonna, 6th grade, I was in 6th grade, yes, I was in 6th grade going into 7th grade, and I was just like, okay, whatever. But yeah, her case was completely glossed over. She was murdered, allegedly, because nothing's confirmed, and it was ruled as a suicide, and I can't say anything, so I don't want this to be seen as slander or libel against the officer. It's when she was allegedly shot and killed while during the traffic stop, or just at least like murdered after violating a traffic stop. She was found hanging in her cell, and it was ruled as a suicide, but everybody close to her said that she wasn't suicidal, and there was a lot of like evidence, not evidence, but the video, it has both of them going off the camera, and I believe that she was in a ditch. It was broad daylight out, and he kind of walked off the camera and like told her to get out off the camera and everything, and that's allegedly when the murder happened. And in her picture, she was in her photo, she was already dead, so it was kind of like he either put her on the floor and took the pictures, allegedly, or he had her hoisted up so he could allegedly take the pictures of her dead body, allegedly, and then hung her allegedly in the cell of the excuse me, if you hear any high-pitched voice noises, I do have a little brother who I'm going to raise to love and adore black women just as much as I do, and as much as you should. Hoisted her body up and hung her, and then when they were found, she was ruled as a suicide, and then the case went cold. But yes, her case, because they didn't really make memes out of it, it was just kind of ignored. It should have definitely been more included into the conversation, because it was a really, really sick and twisted way to have gone out, to have passed away, to have been murdered. It's sadistic what this officer had allegedly done to her and her remains. And I every time I talk about it, I have to literally compose myself because it's very difficult to talk about. But yes, that's the Sandra Bland case. Breonna Taylor was murdered March 13th, the night of March 13th, after the police conducted a botched raid, because they were looking for evidence or key suspects in some sort of drug raid, or drug emporium, drug ring. And so they came to her house unannounced, and then they essentially busted through the door. That might be an exaggeration, but we know the truth. But we know what's poppin'. And Kenneth Walker, Breonna's boyfriend, had opened fire on them. Justifiably so. Whether or not the police shot first in this case, it doesn't matter, because he believed it as a home invasion and had every right to shoot at people who were invading his home and did not announce themselves. Thankfully, the case for attempted murder against him was dismissed. I remember the outrage over that, and he can't be tried again because of the Fifth Amendment, and therefore justice was served in that sense. But Breonna Taylor should still be alive today. The thing about Breonna Taylor is that it brought the conversation of misogynoir back up, because people noticed a difference between the way the outrage for Ahmaud Arbery and the outrage for George Floyd, and how it differed from Breonna Taylor. They said, this is bullshit. Why are people treating them so differently? Why are people making memes and ridiculous videos about Breonna Taylor, but they're not doing that about Ahmaud Arbery or George Floyd. Like, of course there are exceptions. Of course people definitely made videos about George Floyd and just held up their fists. In fact, the I can't breathe thing that they put over their necks, which is extremely insensitive, and a lot of white people were doing that. But that's a discussion for when I talk about black men, which is definitely going to be a topic, because black men and the discrimination against black men is extremely important to talk about. But that's not the center of this video today. They said, why are people making jokes and jokes alone about Breonna Taylor, but they're not doing it about everybody else? This isn't me trying to say they should have been making jokes about everybody. They should have been making jokes about no one. No one at all. Why are people raising their fist up and just saying, arrest the killer of Breonna Taylor, and thinking that that's gonna do something? You know what I mean? It was quite amazing to see that, and just to see the lack of care people had for someone who was quite literally shot to death in her house while she was sleeping. I feel like this is a very big moment. While she was sleeping, but even if she were awake, these people came into her house. Even if she had shot them, they came into her house, you know, unannounced, in the middle of the night, to try to... They were shooting to kill. That's all I know, is that they were essentially just shooting to kill that night. And they did. As of right now, the officers have been charged, but not with murder. As of right now, they've been charged with 4 civil rights offenses: unlawful conspiracy, unconstitutional use of force and obstruction. So that's a little bit of light. That was back in August. They were charged with that. It took them a while. It took them a long while, actually. It took them a very long while, because this was August of 2022. Breonna Taylor was murdered March 13th, 2020. And if you compare that with George Floyd, who was murdered in May of 2020, and Derek Chauvin was tried and convicted in April of 2021, it took a lot less time for him to be arrested and convicted than it took for these people to be arrested. Not only that, Derek Chauvin was also charged with second-degree murder and convicted of second-degree murder. These people weren't even charged with murder, and they murdered somebody unlawfully. They killed somebody. They committed a homicide unlawfully, therefore it's murder, because it's like accident or not. If that had been a random black man who had came into their house and just started shooting and she would have died, he would have been either tried with murder straight up, or he would have been just charged with felony murder, because he would be committing a home invasion and then somebody would have died during the commission of that home invasion. Home invasion is a felony. So let's just sit on that for a while. But we need to talk about misogynoir, because during this time, I remember, because I actually had a brain during this time. It was a lot. It was very stressful. It was a very, very stressful time. But misogynoir finally came up into the conversation, and I was like, I like this term. People were talking about it more. People were giving more anecdotes. More things were opening up. And it was like 2020 was a very stressful, very strange year with COVID and fucking the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Black Lives Matter riots. It was a very, very big deal. It was a very unique time, because we had this pandemic that literally locked us all in the house, and then all of these murders happened, so everyone is just trying to rush out of the house and get out and go. But it begs the question, would a death so unlawful, even though it wasn't recorded, would a death like Breonna Taylor's that was so unlawful, would it have wound up like the Sandra Bland case? Would it have ended up like the Sandra Bland case due to misogynoir? When you look at Black Lives Matter, It's about police brutality. There are so many black women who also experience police brutality, but whenever you look at the Black Lives Matter riots, it's always black men at the face of it. And you know, George Floyd would be in the middle. This is not me saying that things need to change and like we need to minimize black men and take them away from the forefront. So I don't want my words to be misconstrued, because this is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that everybody needs to be brought to the forefront because it's important. Because the last thing I'm gonna have is people trying to misinterpret my words and make me seem like I hate black men, when that is absolutely not the case. And they want to do that, and they want to dismantle everything I'm saying with fallacies, and I'm not gonna have that. Because if you're gonna try and drill me for what I'm saying and try to criticize me for what I'm saying, at least interpret the things that I'm saying correctly and understand what I'm trying to say. Period. That's all we're gonna say moving forward. So there will be a lot of clarifications moving forward. You wanna know why? Because my words are not gonna be misinterpreted. I want everybody to understand that what I say, more likely than not, I might slip up. Whatever I say is what I mean. So, you look at Black Lives Matter movements and Black Lives Matter posters, it's always George Floyd right in the middle at the forefront, and then you get one face of like maybe Eric Garner, and then Ahmaud Arbery, Michael Brown, you have Tamir Rice, rest in peace, rest all of their souls peacefully. No, not a single one of them deserved what they had received. Okay, no matter their background, no matter if they were a drug addict, no matter what this, that, and the third, I very rarely do I ever believe that someone deserves to die. And even then, when I say that someone deserves to die, it is coming from a very dark place in my mind, because I do not like the idea of other humans dictating when a person's life should end. I think it's very sick, and I think it's very twisted. So, I digress. And then like in the corner, you'll get like these tiny pictures, if you're lucky, mind you, if you're lucky, of like Sandra Bland over here. Breonna Taylor gets a pretty big spot, and it's because we kind of forced her name into the conversation, because remember, Breonna Taylor died on March 13th of 2020, and it took until George Floyd's death for her to be spoken about effectively. I remember hearing about Ahmaud Arbery almost right away, but then his case kind of resurfaced after a while. I didn't hear about Breonna Taylor until the riots. I really didn't. I didn't even know who she was until the riots happened and people started saying her name more, because they were saying, say his name, George Floyd, and then finally say her name came about. And then her name started coming about, and yeah, like back to the poster example. She gets like her little face, and like, if you're very, very lucky, you'll see some parts dedicated to Oluwatoyin Salau. If you're very lucky, if you're very, very, very lucky. It's just that there's a lot of black women erasure, even in topics that concern black people. And it does stem from misogynoir. We need to talk about why this happens. And I will. I extremely wish that I had a cooler setup. Because the white background, this is, before anybody tries to clock me for having a dirty wall, this is tape, okay? Because I had to take down a poster, and my Black Lives Matter sign fell, in case you guys were also curious as to why I probably don't have one up. But my room is usually more decorative than this, and I also have paintings over here. Oops. Not to show off too much, but I do have paintings over there, and that's Tyler and A$AP Rocky in the back. Ironic that we're talking about, black women, and I have A$AP Rocky and Tyler Creator in the background. It's a cool poster. My friend got it for me. Left her down real bad. Okay, so we need to talk about the stand by your man trope that is very prevalent among black women, specifically cis-het black women of the older generation, because if we don't acknowledge it, then it's just gonna go unspoken about, because it's like one of those things in our community that we all know about, but we don't really talk about, and the dangers of it. Like I said before, I did write a report about R. Kelly, and this definitely did tie into the whole prolonging the conviction of R. Kelly, because of how many people would attack the supposed victims who were children of R. Kelly. And um, basically kind of bully them into being silenced. It's really disgusting, and it's really sad because the black men that black women would like lay their heads on the chopping block for would not do the same for them. And before I go deeper into this conversation, because I will be talking about black men perpetuating misogynoir against black women and femmes as well, this conversation I will be using the terms black men. But when I say black men, I'm not talking about black men as a whole. This is a term that sounds all-encompassing, but it's not. I'm specifically talking about black men who perpetuate misogynoir against their femme counterparts. I have to say this because if I don't, people will quite literally misconstrue my words and make it seem as if I hate black men and I'm playing the victim towards black men. I'm knowledgeable that discrimination against black men can come from black women, and the discrimination of black women can come from black men. It's one of those things that don't go both ways. Hear me out. That don't go both ways, but it goes one way with black women to black men, and then goes the other way because we're talking about different issues here with black, and it's like different between black people. It's very different discriminations, if that makes sense. There is hatred on both sides, yes, but for different reasons. So let's just get that out of the way. Please, 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 if you are not a black man who hates black women, do not try to stick your nose into the conversation, because it's going to sound a lot like a hit dog is hollering, especially if I'm not trying to hit you and I didn't hit you, but you just find yourself being empathetic towards black men who quite literally hate the thing that you love. And that's not cool. That's kind of gross. So continue on. Let's continue on. So yeah, stand by your man. Unfortunately, a lot of black women live and die by his slogan. And I'm not using die metaphorically. There are a lot of women who die by this slogan. There is literally a show on, I believe, either BET or Oxygen called For My Man, where black women are killing people for the sake of their men, are not allowing themselves, but have found themselves in situations where they are being sex trafficked by their male partners, or are just being consistently abused for the sake of keeping their male partners. And yes, the term stand by your man is plaguing the black community. It has to do with slavery. Shocker! Conversation of slavery, just as a quick side note, it's quite unique, the African American experience, how we behave as a result of slavery. A lot of it stems from slavery down to us laughing and running away due to eugenics and artificial selection. We are quite literally one of the few races who have been artificially selected due to the bottleneck effect that was slavery. So yeah, that's just a quick little side note. So a lot of actions that are performed by black people now are from the result of slavery. So just so you can keep that in mind, that a lot of things that I do discuss are rooted in slavery and the Jim Crow era. It was quite literally survival of the fittest for black people at a time, unfortunately. Let's just continue. Stand by your man, plaguing the community. As a result of slavery in the Jim Crow era, black women have adopted the tactic of silence for the sake of protection. As stated by Patricia A. Broussard of Florida A&M University College of Law, black women share an unspoken sisterhood of don't tell. This stems from slavery, obviously. It was brought upon only to save black men. I argue that it was brought upon only to save black men, because if they were witness to something and they were to tell somebody about it, most likely it would result in black men being killed. Keep that in mind, please, because it also translates into the Megan Thee Stallion issue that I will be touching upon later. The Megan Thee Stallion and the alleged shooting performed by Tory Lanez. So, not to stick my tongue out, that was kind of gross. So, when a black woman announces that she has been abused, finally, a lot of people ask, hey, why didn't you speak up sooner? It's because of this. Okay? It's because of the don't ask, don't tell, because you might kill your man or kill somebody that you care deeply about in the process. Because if something happened and a black man did something wrong during times of slavery, when they went around to go ask people if a black woman said something, that black man would be punished, and punishment could include murdered and killed. So, exactly, this is why it's incredibly dangerous for them to have said anything. Keep that in mind, I said. And unfortunately, I'm just going to use R. Kelly as this example. When it came to R. Kelly, a lot of people, they didn't want to see another black man in jail. They didn't want to see another black man in jail because we're trying to reduce that rate, that pipeline of the uneducated black man, or not formally educated black man, finding themselves in jail, or the successful black man finding themselves in jail. Like when black men finally make something out of themselves in a system that was quite literally designed to make them into nothing, they go to prison because of some issue that usually typically stems from like abuse. But since they are black, they do get harsher. They on average do get harsher sentences and punishments. People are trying to prevent that as much as possible. They don't want successful black men in jail because they want to see black people thrive. I understand, I get it. I also want to see black people thrive, but I don't want to see abusive black people thrive. I don't want to see evil black people thrive. I don't want to see any person evil thrive. You know what I mean? So, yes, we have to quite literally dismantle the idea of standing by our men, because they're typically abusers. Black women share an unspoken sisterhood of don't tell that still prevails in the black community. This sisterhood, though, was never meant to protect themselves. It was brought upon to only save black men. It wasn't to protect black women. 9 times out of 10, it was mostly meant to save black men. Their desire to see their male counterparts safe subjected them to persistent abuse from the ones they strive to protect. Hence why there's a lot of domestic violence between the black community and in the black community, not between the black community, in the black community. Abuse can go both ways, but we're talking about men onto women. Okay? This is a clarification. And black women are often afraid of being the final nail in a black man's coffin. And they often risk their well-being for the sake of preventing that. To talk about R. Kelly, because that is the topic that I discussed the most and I have researched the most thus far. The 13-year-old girl, 13, he abused on video, refused to testify against him in court. She knew exactly what happened to him, but I don't know her personally, but the trend is that from watching the R. Kelly, the surviving R. Kelly cases, a lot of those women were either believed that they were in love with him, or just didn't want to get in trouble on their end, or receive any backlash from other black women who do love him due to the parasocial relationship that he's built between himself and his fans. And so they stayed quiet often. The 13-year-old girl refused to testify against him in court. Aaliyah, the late Aaliyah, may she rest in peace, always denied the relationship when asked about it in interviews, and often wrote the relationship off as nothing more than best friends, even though there has been new evidence that circulated that she was pregnant, and that's why R. Kelly wanted to marry her, allegedly. to say allegedly because she unfortunately has passed away and cannot confirm nor deny, and I know that R. Kelly is not going to confirm nor deny this. And many of his victims refused to come forward and refused to even call themselves victims of his abuse. This stems from them wanting to preserve R. Kelly's reputation out of fear of the outcome and what could happen to their perceived lover, because there was a time where they were probably the forefront of R. Kelly's love and did not want to have their spot taken by anybody else by speaking out against him. But so the stand by your man trope, you know, it's terrible. It's terrible. It has seen the abuse and death of so many black women. And a lot of black men use it to silence and essentially put down any black female victims, black femme victims of abuse. And for this, we're going to be talking about Oluwatoyin Salau. And her case, because I remember when she had first been murdered, kidnapped and murdered, it was indeed a black man who murdered her, and it brought up the issue of gender in the conversation of Black Lives Matter and how black men treat black women and the disparity of treatment from them versus the treatment of black men from black women. And you know, her murderer was arrested, who also committed a double murder of Victoria Sims as well, who I believe was 70 something, who was also an activist, and it is absolutely devastating because these were deaths that were absolutely preventable, and they were fighting for black men, and they were murdered by a black man, which really, it's like dramatic irony, not dramatic irony, it's just ironic that this is happening, especially when we talk about the whole stand by your man trope, because their black women were defending the black man in topics of police brutality and in the terms of Black Lives Matter, because these people were like front runners during these protests just to be murdered by the thing that they were protecting and trying to advocate for the most. It's kind of strange how that happens, and it's very upsetting that this has happened, because she was so young and she was a bright girl and she was fighting for the very thing that killed her. It's like, when we talk about like the mistreatment of black women, we talk about white people a lot, true, but I feel like the conversation mostly centers around black men, because black men kind of ride the fact that they are black as well to try and silence people for trying to hold them accountable, when in reality a lot of abuse against black women are by black men, and that's only reported. We don't know what's not reported, But then, I am not in an interracial relationship. I'm also with a black man. But when black women move to white men after the abuse that they face and the constant criticism that they face from black men are the first people to jump up and be like, oh, look at them going for the swirl now, are black men not good enough, blah 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 blah. But then again, if you ask that same black man, hey black man, do you like black women, their answer is usually black women are too loud, black women are too proud, black women are too aggressive, I want a white woman who will clean and cook and do whatever I say, blah 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 blah. I think as if submissive black women don't exist, but then again, I really don't think that a person like that wants a partner per se. They just kind of want a sex toy who will do everything for them, blah blah. So it's definitely better for them to just kind of go about their business and leave black women alone anyway. So yeah. I digress. A lot of black men disguise their misogynoir behind the fact that it's just a preference. You know, that's always like the thing that they say whenever they like shit on black women. It's just like, it's what I feel like. Black men, now you guys know what I'm talking about when I say black men. This is not an all-encompassing term. I'm just using it to shorten the phrase. Black men who hate black women, blah, 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 whatever. Black men will quite literally be like, black women are gross. Their pussies look like fucking roast beef. They smell weird. They're rude as fuck. Their hair is nappy. I hate them. And then disguise it with putting, I like Latina girls because even though Latina women can literally be black, I like white girls because I like Asian girls because I like, what other races am I missing? I like this race because black women are blah, 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 blah. And I'm tired of that because as soon as you call it out, they're like, dude, it's just my preference. The burp, I'm sorry, I just had something to drink. That's not a burp, that sounds like vomit. But regardless, they're like, dude, it's just a preference. It's just my preference, dude. Not too fucking much, okay? They'll say that in a minute. After literally being like, oh, black women are this, black women are that, black women should shut the fuck up, black women are too fucking loud, all they do is eat hot Cheeto in the morning and go and fight people, dude. And it's like, bro. And then as soon as you call them out, they're like, black women are so sensitive, they think everything is just because we hate them. I don't even hate black women. My mom is black. Bitch. And then like they'll just slap it behind the whole like, it's just my preference, dude, when it's absolutely not. You just hate black women. I know people personally I do not associate with, because if you hate black women, you are not a friend of mine, bitch. Will automatically be like, I will date every race except for black women because black women are too this, and they will be black themselves, and they'll have a whole ass black mama. But then they'll be like, blah, 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 because black women are too loud and black women are this and that. Bitch, like, just to get like absolutely pissed for a second, just like, bitch, what are you talking about? A black woman could absolutely be like that. They can absolutely be loud and have nappy hair, literally just coily hair. Can have nappy hair and be loud and have a vagina that looks a certain way that you don't like, even though when people say that, it's like you've never seen a vagina before, because vaginas are all relatively similar because they all have labias, whether they're long or short or whatever. And that, you know, I feel like people who talk about like how roast beefy vaginas like have never seen a real life vagina, because they're usually like 12-year-old boys. And then whatever, that's just a tangent that I'm going on right now. Shit, what the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, a black woman could absolutely be all those traits that you have said, but that is no reason to ever insult them. That is absolutely zero reason to ever insult somebody in the slightest because they are like that. You're saying every single one of their personality traits as some form of joke. If they're not bothering you, you can put your headphones in and walk the other way. You have all right to not prefer that kind of individual, but you do not have the right to completely trash them because they're that way. Are you kidding me? That's so corny of you. You can literally just go about your business and just mind it. You know what I'm saying? But people have to make it an absolute fucking spectacle. This is what Jordan Peele was trying to warn you about with Nope. Stop making everything into spectacles because it's gonna make you look bad and might even kill ya, you know? They have to make a spectacle about it and try to get everyone to bandwagon and hate black women for that, which is absolutely ridiculous, you know? And they also start making people believe that every black woman is this sort of woman that they don't desire. And even if we were, that is absolutely no reason for you to ever trash black women. But black women are quite literally the eve of the human race. Because we come in all frames, shapes, and sizes with all different types of personalities, because we were some of the first people on the planet. The first human skull so far was discovered in Ethiopia. Where's Ethiopia, y'all? Ding ding ding, Africa. So yeah, I digress. We are quite literally the eve, so which means that we have all possibilities of personality. The reason being is because anything that stems from the archetype of the black woman is just a mutation of a black woman's genes. Okay? So yeah. And so this whole preference shit of being like, oh, I prefer white women because they're just not as disgusting, all these XYZ adjectives about black women is absolutely unnecessary and racist. I'm quite sure that it is racist and to just be like, oh, I don't like black women because of this, because your brain, race is a social construct. Okay, race is a social construct. Your brain is not designed to discriminate when you first pop out the pussy hole. You're kind of taught that stuff over time, to not prefer those things by those around you because of your experiences and what may have you. So yes, you are racist for, having that kind of preference. It is absolutely okay to be like, I love all women, but I find myself mostly dating white women because that's just what's available to me more likely and things like that. But what isn't okay is to be like, I just prefer white women because black women are assholes. That's not okay. That's racist. And you're perpetuating stereotypes that were brought upon by white people during the Jim Crow era and slavery. You quite literally signed yourself away to the white man. Why? White people aren't gonna respect you. White people aren't gonna love you. White people aren't gonna fuck with you the way that black women will fuck with you. You wanna know why? Because no matter how hard they try to make it seem as the opposite, white people aren't gonna lay down a line for you. Okay? And when I say white people, I'm talking about a specific niche form of white people who kind of like specifically kind of like fetishize and go after black people. Okay? They're kind of like breeders kind of thing, who like try to assimilate with black culture to seem cool and like date black men because they fall for the buck and mandingo trope and are looking for like big penises and are just looking for a rug-tugged bad boy and try to stick it to their father and stuff like that. Yeah. Weirdo. You're weird. By the way, if you are like that, if you fall into that snow bunny trope, you're weird, okay? And if you call yourself a snow bunny, you're weird as fuck, because that is 100% an insult, and they tried to make it into a compliment. I mean, power to you, but you're weird. Do not call yourself that. Damn, as I speak, I feel like I'm like thinking of more like videos to make, because the snow bunny trope, it's just like I'm cracking my finger muscles right now, and a little bit of my toes. But yeah, I'm just thinking about like how when I'm trying to reclaim like the whole like snow bunny thing, and how like insults for white women like snow bunny will never merit to the insults for black women, because they're much softer than the insults for black women. Snow bunny being like a slur or like an insult from black men to black women is kind of like, that's so soft. Like, bunnies are cute. Snow bunnies aren't cute. That's just weird. But yeah, keep in mind, the insult for black women who go after and date white men are called coal burners. So, well, I mean, the white men are called coal burners, but the black women are being referred to as coal. So, but that's not important. But that ties more into the misogynoir thing, where it's like white women get these cute little slur names, and then black women are called coal burners. Sucks. Okay. I was really hoping that this video wasn't gonna be long, but it looks like it's gonna be like one of those little video essays. Ignore my work clothes in the back. Sorry, guys. my bed, by the way, and I don't have a tripod. I stacked up blankets to film this little video, so I'm sorry if it's really low quality. This is all I got right now. So black men and their hatred for black women. Misogynoir. Now that we have all of this foundation and where it stems from, slavery, and after the emancipation of enslaved individuals, now that we have all that groundwork laid, it's time to talk about Megan Thee Stallion. It is time to talk about Megan Thee Stallion, because it's time to talk about her. Period. Right now, the date is November 4th. Drake had just dropped his album, Her Loss, and the most controversial line right now are the disses against Megan Thee Stallion, which people are saying, like, oh, like Drake would have still gone, like, gotten news for his album if he didn't diss Megan Thee Stallion, which I highly doubt, because honestly, never mind. His last album wasn't getting as much press as this because it was just an innocent little album where all he does is talk about fucking, your pussies, calling my, like, you guys seen it, you guys heard the album. So I highly doubt if he didn't do this line, there wouldn't be so much buzz around it, because he wouldn't have mentioned, there wouldn't be much buzz about it, because we kind of all made fun of the last album. Some people liked it. It was house music. We weren't really feeling it. And you notice how nobody else is talking about the other songs on the album right now. They're only talking about the Megan Thee Stallion situation, because he talked about a woman getting shots but still being a stallion, lying about getting shots but she's still a stallion. Like, everyone's like, it's wordplay. It's wordplay because the Stallion's a tall woman with a big butt. They're talking about butt shots. We're not stupid. I want everyone to understand this. We are not stupid. The only reason why people, women specifically, are trying to disprove this is because of rap beef, and the fact that they don't like Megan Thee Stallion because of whatever reason, and whatever rap beef, whether it be because they like Drake or Nicki Minaj. Also, let me lay another thing down. I love Nicki Minaj. I'm a barb, okay? This is not a diss on Nicki Minaj, because Nicki Minaj is not involved in this issue. It might be Drake, but this issue does not concern Nicki Minaj. I highly even doubt that it concerns barbs, because I don't consider those people barbs. People who put Nicki Minaj as their profile picture and then just start sounding off on all the rappers they hate, and you know what I mean? I don't consider them barbs. Now that we got the Nicki Minaj situation out of the way, I don't want my words to be misconstrued, okay? This is a conversation specifically for those toxic barbs, because for some reason, any time that there is a conversation to be had about something, they're always there. Party gang is sometimes there too, and yeah, I'm not really looking to have my entire video be ignored because people want to focus mostly on the barb section and the Nicki Minaj section, because you will be losing a lot of very important details. So I just want to, please, I'm begging you, do not misinterpret what I say, because what I'm talking about is very important. Okay. The date is November 4th, and currently Drake has released his new album, Her Loss, with 21 Savage, and in his song, I don't know, I didn't stream the album because I don't really like Drake's music. He's not my favorite. I feel like he just kind of just does a lot of radio hits, which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, per se, because, I mean, that's how you make your money, is it not? Right. In his song Circle Loco, he mentions, like, fake shots, but she's still a stallion, and then he says something about, like, oh, you graduated from school, blah, blah, I heard your album said that's enough. Let's get one thing out of the way. We're not stupid. We're not, and by we're, I mean black women. Black women and femmes, we're not dumb. We're not. We're not. Sorry, we're not. We heard that right away. And it's Black Man 2. Okay, Black Man 2. We heard this right away, and we were like, okay, this is Megan Thee Stallion. We know who it's about, but I feel like if you're a fan of Drake and you don't want to see him doing any wrong that would warrant a response, like a negative response, and any backlash, you kind of gaslight the situation. Even though you know what the truth is, you kind of just want to be like, nope, it's this instead. They're talking about butt shots, but instead of being like a double entendre, it's like a triple entendre. You know what I mean? Where it is the meaning right there, where it's like Stallion with the butt shots, a stallion, a tall girl or femme getting butt shots, or it's like, and then the final meaning where it's Megan Thee Stallion supposedly lying about getting shot. What rapper, and while we're on the topic of it, what rapper who uses she, her pronouns prides herself on graduating college? Megan Thee Stallion. So the entire college line is also the college line about how he heard the album and said that's enough, and you know, also kind of like, it's like, okay, this has to be about Megan. Don't know why he did that. I 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 don't know if there's any beef between Megan and Drake. I highly doubt the two of them. I don't even think the two of them collabed together. I'm pretty sure they didn't. Whether or not this has to do with him liking Nicki Minaj, I'm going to leave this out of the discussion, because this is not a Nicki Minaj Megan Drake issue. This is a Megan Drake issue that was completely out of nowhere and one-sided, and it's extremely just corny to me, because it was just like Pusha T spent this entire time talking, like, dissing you. He dissed your family, he dissed you, he literally exposed the picture of you in blackface as like a little fucking Sambo character, and you didn't really reply to that, but then you went out of your way to do bars on a woman who said nothing about you, who was minding her business and celebrating some of her achievements. You went out of her way to diss her about being abused by a black man, being shot by a black man, allegedly, because, you know, nothing's confirmed yet, but yeah. So you have all these little Drake fanboys, now they're coming out of nowhere to talk about, like, hey, like, you know, nigga, like, hey, like, you niggas is tripping and stuff like that. He's just talking about butt shots. Or they're going the other way to be like, Megan's lying about getting shot. So which is it? Is it about butt shots, or is it about Megan Thee Stallion lying about getting shot? Because it seems like you guys have interpreted it both ways, because it's almost like it is a dig at Megan Thee Stallion. Oh shit. I thought you guys said it wasn't about her. Yeah, okay. Because you have people saying like, oh shit, like, she's lying about her shot, about getting shot. Or no, it's about a girl lying about fucking getting her booty done. I don't know why I just sighed. Okay. Anyways, where I digress is the fact that you know, black women and men are going out of their way to kind of doubt Megan. I don't really like that very much, because it's perpetuating the misogynoir, not believing the victim trope, because black women are stronger and they have less feelings and they're liars and they're this and they're that. And now that we're on the topic about it, everyone's like, Megan got shot in the foot. How is she out here twerking? As if it wasn't like weeks later that she was out there dancing. people can't heal, I guess. I don't know, people can't heal. I guess once you're shot, you have to be disabled forever. And it's like, okay. It's just really shitty logic because, you know, Tupac got shot for the first time and almost fucking died, but then he lived and then he was out there tweaking again. But nobody ever wants to talk about that. He was shot, like, in the chest, I think. He was shot in a very vital area, and he lived, and he was out there tweaking again. But, yeah. But for Megan Thee Stallion, I guess she can't go out there and dance after being weeks off the scene because she was, you know, shot, allegedly. She just can't go back out there again. Like, so Megan Thee Stallion, if you're watching this, please sit back down because you were shot and you don't deserve to dance or be happy again. Sorry, because you were shot. That's what it sounds like, you know? Allegedly shot. Sorry, I had to say that or else I'll get my shit rocked by some lawyers. And I'm not really feeling that. So, yeah. Again, this is all alleged. But, yeah. And this is my opinion. Okay? Ow, I just scratched myself. Ow. That's what I get for talking about Misogynoir. But now it's time to talk about the talking points, the main talking points of people who call Megan Thee Stallion a liar. The biggest one is the whole, why didn't she tell the police right away? Why did she say that this happened just to rescind it and then say the truth afterwards? We have to go back to the stand by your man, protect yourself, protecting men before protecting yourself thing that I discussed earlier in the video. Once again, this is a situation in this where black women, for better or for worse, stick their neck out for black men when on the chopping block. She did it because he was an armed black man, allegedly. This is during the time of the riots where black people were literally being killed by the police and still are being killed by the police every single day due to misconceptions of the situation. And now that they see that there is a black man who they would possibly identify as belligerent, especially since he had been drinking and things like that, and had already shot people, it would be likely that they would open fire on him. She believed that they would have opened fire on Tory Lanez and would have shot him if she had been like, he has a gun! He has a gun and he shot me! That's why she did that. And it's really devastating to me, specifically because of the entire fact that she was looking out for him. Keep in mind, he had also apologized. There were also text messages of him apologizing. We have been doing this for 2 years. It has been 2 years since this incident, and every day it's like we have to keep fighting. This poor woman has been traumatized and has repeatedly said, like, guys, like, I'm extremely depressed, if not suicidal. This woman has all reasons to be suicidal and depressed, and people refuse to see that, and it's just disgusting. It's deplorable to me, because I feel like people have to be shot and killed before people ever take other victims seriously. It's like, why do people have to die to be taken seriously? You know what I'm saying? It's like people aren't going to take Megan Thee Stallion and her depression seriously unless she kills herself. They're going to keep making jokes and ridiculing and criticizing the fact that this woman was literally shot, allegedly, in the foot by someone she thought was a friend because she had denied his, allegedly denied his advances. And he allegedly said, "Dance, bitch, dance," and started shooting at her. Which is extremely sadistic. And he continues to make jokes about it, and people that she once associated with are working with him and defending him, and you know, it's crazy. And she has said in her song Anxiety, like, you know, I have really bad days, and people keep saying, like, nobody wants to listen to me when I say that I have bad days and stuff like that. And it's like, she says on Twitter, like, if I stick up for myself, I'm in the wrong. If I don't stick up for myself, I'm in the wrong. And it's like, I can understand why it would be so frustrating to be her. And a lot of people, they try to justify like what she had gone through because she associated with the baby after he physically assaulted people and was best friends with G-Eazy and Trey Songz. And this person says, please stop to protect black women because she didn't care until she needed support with this Tory situation, which, you know what, is a very fair point. I will admit that it's a very fair point, but the problem is people deserve support even if they're not the perfect victim, because they are a victim regardless. You shouldn't just completely, you can't completely erase everything that that person had been through because of who they previously associated with. She doesn't associate with DaBaby anymore, possibly because during the time of when he was seen as like, when she was first accused of being an abuser and she was hanging with him and associating with him, she probably just didn't see that till she saw for herself the man that she is, because it happens, and it's really upsetting when stuff like that happens. You associate with somebody and you don't want to believe that they're an abuser. Sometimes you have to undergo like the until it happens to you situation, which is terrible. She was fucking on G-Eazy, allegedly, or something like that. I was in bed with G-Eazy and associating with G-Eazy after being an abuser of Halsey, but that stopped. She's also not associating with DaBaby anymore. Of course, it's because of the abuse that she's faced and everything like that. There's a lot of people who are saying like Megan is a hypocrite. She associated with DaBaby after these are not my words, this is from a user on Twitter I don't even think I should expose the because I really don't want people witch hunting, because I don't really like that. But this person had said Megan is a hypocrite. She associated with DaBaby after he physically assaulted women, all in bed with G-Eazy after he abused Halsey, who, keep in mind, she does not associate with anymore. She also doesn't associate with DaBaby. Of course, she stopped associating with him after his support of Tory Lanez, but regardless, she doesn't associate with DaBaby anymore. We do not know what was going through Megan's head because she hasn't explicitly said anything. She could have 100% finally realized that this man is a bad person and physically assaults people and physically assaults women afterwards, because she could easily be falling into the until it happens to you trope, and as we've seen before, perpetuates the stand by your man scenario and doesn't want to see black men be unsuccessful, and was besties, the keyword here is was besties with Trey Songz. Please stop with the protect black women because she didn't care until she needed support with this Tory situation. Here's the problem with that, y'all. The perfect victim trope, the perfect victim stereotype leads to abuse. If they are not like this completely squeaky clean victim, it's like, oh, they don't deserve support from people. They don't deserve support from people. They don't deserve your support because they're not the perfect victim. That's not okay. A victim is a victim is a victim is a victim. You know what I mean? Just because she wasn't the perfect person prior doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve support after being shot by somebody, because being shot is completely traumatizing, and this shouldn't be just be like, oh, you didn't support this person, well, guess what, I'm not gonna support you because you didn't support this person. Even though you don't associate with DaBaby or G-Eazy or Trey Songz anymore, I'm still not gonna support you because you supported them at once, bitch, and you only needed help recently. That's not okay. It's really not okay. It's not okay. She's still a victim. She was still shot. And what you're not going to do is take away the fact that she was shot because of what happened. you can't just not support somebody because she was shot. You cannot justify somebody's ridiculing of somebody else's abuse because she associated with these people before and called it just business before, because Megan Thee Stallion, as I've already stated, fell into the stand by your man trope. Following on Twitter and following on Instagram also doesn't discern actions in public. Also doesn't like say anything about actions in public because it's just a follow on Twitter. There's a lot of people in this planet that we have once followed before that we regret following when we finally rise up and realize like how bad of a person that they are. Megan Thee Stallion is a human. She's also 26. She has a lot of aging to do as well. And these things, while it makes sense and it makes a decent case as to something, I don't know what it makes a decent case. I'm rambling right now. But more importantly, we need to stop perpetuating the perfect victim stereotype. We do. As a whole, we need to stop doing that because anybody could be a victim. You know what I mean? Megan Thee Stallion isn't a bad person herself. She's not. She's really not a bad person herself. She just kind of like is there, and a lot of people just kind of dogpile on her for whatever reason it may be. And she has repeatedly said, like, guys, if you guys don't like me, just leave me alone. And they still won't do that. They feel the need to keep poking a bear. It's not even a bear. They keep feeling the need to just keep poking this innocent woman who had been just celebrating herself and, you know, has been trying to move past and move forward and things like that. So Megan Thee Stallion, she's not the perfect person. She's not a perfect person. She's done things in her past because she's human. We're all human. We all do terrible things. The people that are chastising Megan Thee Stallion for their association, oftentimes it just looks like they're kind of virtue signaling to make it seem like if they're a better person for not supporting her, or they're a better person because they support other people, when in reality the people that they are possibly standing, idolizing are not good themselves or don't do good things themselves, which is just like completely hypocritical. And that person themselves might not be a good person. Have you noticed is the people who vocalize the most about how good of a person they are and go out of their way to constantly virtue signal are typically racist themselves? Have you guys noticed that? Because I sure have. It's very strange, very weird, very ugly too. But yeah, she deserves support still, and people keep using these weak talking points to talk about how she's a liar and like all this evidence that has neither been proven nor disproven. And I feel like a lot of things should just wait until court. But for now, I'm going to believe the victim. I just think there's something very strange about people believing a supposed abuser over the supposed victim. I think that's very, very strange. You can have your "I told you so" moment when this case gets settled. Eventually, everything that a lot of people talk about, like, oh, why was this postponed? Why is this postponed? Why was this postponed? Has reason to it that Megan has laid out the foundation for, that people kind of refuse to acknowledge just so they can keep up with their confirmation bias, which I really don't like. It's just like, hey, you know, like it's not right what people do, and people in their efforts to look like a better person try to virtue signal, but then in reality they, like I said, perpetuate the perfect victim stereotype and misogynoir. It also doesn't help that Megan Thee Stallion is a taller black woman who is darker skin, because it also like ties into the whole masculinization. They kind of try to use that, they use that to justify her abuse, and they tried calling her a man and everything, and it was like, it's like they try to always give Megan Thee Stallion something that she has to prove. Meanwhile, they don't ever do this to Tory. Even though he's kind of the one who has to prove something, he's kind of the one who has to prove his innocence. But rather than trying to make him prove his innocence, it's like they're trying to make Megan Thee Stallion prove all these other extraneous details. Not even prove that he's guilty, just prove like, are you a biological assigned at female at birth person. What does that have to do with the case? Even if Megan Thee Stallion was transgender, what would that have to do with the fact that she was shot in the foot? You know? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, it's just like they bring in like these red herrings so we can just try to get our eyes off the case. So it's like we have to fight this battle and fight this battle and fight this battle just to make Megan Thee Stallion seem credible. When in reality, she's just somebody who got shot. Yeah, she's just somebody who got shot at the end of the day. She didn't diss anybody. She was just trying to tell her story and be like, guys, I got shot. And they treat her as if she committed like a crime against humanity. Why, we ask? Because of Misogynoir. Because of Misogynoir, yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And it's crazy that we still see Misogynoir being perpetuated to this day. And it wouldn't even be from... And the sad part is, it's just like... My question is, where do all these Tory Lanez fans come from? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't believe you guys were there before. You guys just have that... What song did that nigga make? I don't know. I want to put you in seven positions that are living in you in. I don't know any of his music. That's on me. This is not to insult him. I just don't know what music he has. You know what I mean? Damn. I don't listen to Tory Lanez, so I wouldn't know. But my question is, a lot of people also don't listen to Tory Lanez. So where did all these Tory Lanez fans come from? That's why I don't think you guys actually like Tory Lanez. You guys just hate black women and just are absolutely misogynistic. And want to perpetuate misogynoir because you guys hate black women specifically. So yeah, but you guys, I mean everyone who is literally pretending to be a Tory Lanez fan to try and defend him from the evil Megan Thee Stallion, Megan Pete, who has one ulterior motive, and that's to put Tory Lanez behind bars. What? Like what? What? Megan Thee Stallion has no reason to be doing this. It's not like she's going around every day being like, I'm gonna put him behind bars, I'm gonna put him behind bars. She's literally like, guys, I was shot, allegedly, and I want to put my alleged abuser behind bars because he shot me, allegedly. He shot me, you know? Yeah. I would never understand that. It's just so, it's so strange. The situation is so strange to me. I have to stare off into the distance and be like, let me just stare off into the distance. Because I'm just so confused. I don't think I'll ever get it. I don't think I'll ever get it. I don't think I want to get it. I don't think I want to understand people who don't like black women. I don't think I want to understand that because I'm a black woman, and why would I want to understand somebody who hates me? Because you hate me for no apparent reason. Because archaic stereotypes. That's lame. Yeah, that is lame, and I don't really like that. So, for Drake to have made this line is completely unwarranted. Don't really know what was going through his mind to try and diss somebody. And like, can you at least diss somebody who's worthwhile? Diss a man, you know? Like, just diss a man. Why are you gonna diss a woman whose career is a lot less prolific than yours? You've been in this game for like 10 years now, and it's just like you're just dissing this girl who hasn't said anything to you. Oh, because you're friends with the Tory Lanez? Let Tory Lanez handle his own business. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, what are you doing? I don't know. I can't make sense of it. I don't know. I don't understand why he did that. What was the need for it? Why it was so funny for him to have done that. I know it was to get buzz around it. And everyone's like, oh, Drake would have done numbers without it. Then why did he do that then? Was it to defend somebody? What, like, was it to defend Tory? Like, you can defend Tori in other ways. You didn't have to just randomly diss this girl out of nowhere. Was it to defend Nikki? People are saying it's to defend Nikki, and I'm like, Nikki and Megan, they don't have explicit beef. It's like, why are we trying to do that now? It's like, I don't really see the reason besides the fact that she just wanted to come for a woman who was minding her business. She just celebrated her 2-year anniversary with Party. And she was having a good time. She was having fun. She was celebrating like all the stuff that she had just done. And Halloween just happened, and she was having so much fun, and she was just posting this, and I feel like every single time that Megan Thee Stallion has a high, somebody has to literally shoot her down and put her back into a low. And that's... it just... I don't really understand why people feel the need to do that. Yeah, I'm rambling again. Remember how I said that I was reading a script earlier, guys? I'm not reading a script. This is all off of my dome. This is just me just rambling. Because I don't really like the fact that y'all are mean to Megan Thee Stallion. It's just not right. It's not right. It goes deeper than just like Megan Thee Stallion. It goes deeper than that. It just goes to show like how misogynoir affects our community to this day, and how we're so willing to perpetuate these stereotypes. I don't like that. I really don't. I think it's very disgusting. I think that's why this issue hits me so hard, because it's a black woman being accused of lying, where when anybody fucking else can come forward and say something, it's like everybody believes them right away. But like when a black woman who is not like skin comes up, because colorism does play an issue, which I should have touched upon, but I don't really feel like doing it right now. Maybe I'll do another video where I'll touch upon it. A black woman comes forward who is brown and not like super light, starts talking, and it's like, hey, this happened to me. Everybody wants to dogpile on top of her and say, nope, this didn't happen to you. Fuck you, kill yourself. I don't like that. Because she's truly just chilling. She's truly just to herself. But yes. I really needed to say this, because I'm very tired of the whole, like, me just sitting around and everything. This is not a rap beef issue. This is the issue of misogynoir and not believing the victim, because your implicit biases are against black women. You know what I mean? Somebody has to say it, because if we don't say it and it doesn't get called out, we're just gonna go our entire lives thinking like, oh, this only goes against this is just because I don't like Megan, when in reality it's just because you just don't like black women. Somebody has to say it. Somebody has to put it out there so you can change your way of thinking, so you can become a better ally to people. Now, I don't expect the traffic for this video to be positive. I really don't, because nobody wants to be perceived as prejudiced. Nobody does. But it's a discussion that needs to be had. Whether you find this video to be objective or subjective, that is completely up to your discretion. These are just my beliefs, and I'm backing them up with facts. Keep in mind some clarifications that I want to say at the end of the video, so things in case that somebody skipped through and you found this part specifically. The clarifications that I have right now are: 1, this, when I say black men, it's not all black men. This is specifically black men who do not like black women, whether they admit to it or not. Hit dogs will holler. And finally, what else am I including? Everything that I talk about is alleged. I'm using this case of celebrities to talk about misogynoir and all these stereotypes, but I'm also using these stereotypes in misogynoir to talk about how it manifests into celebrities, so they kind of coincide with each other. And yes, these clarifications are important because I do not want my words to be misconstrued, and I want people to realize the important issue here. The important issue here is that black women are being silenced because of misogynoir. Black women are less likely to come forward because of the blacklash. The blacklash, please, praying that nobody else has said that term because I want to coin it. Blacklash that they're receiving. that they receive from other people as a result of Misogynoir, and a collection of other things that I'm forgetting right now, because like I said, this is off dope. And now if it comes off as incoherent, I can't help you. It's up to you to figure it out. So yeah, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's really important that I get this message out there. And if you are interested in learning more about any of these issues, please feel free to find me on Medium under i.vyib, and to read my essays about both the hypersexualization of Black women and R. Kelly. Because this situation kind of reminds me of the R. Kelly case, where the victims kind of get silenced and the man kind of is defended by everybody around him and stuff like that. Obviously it's not the same, because Tory Lanez doesn't have as much influence as R. Kelly does. Objectively speaking, doesn't have as much influence as R. Kelly. The baby doesn't have as much. Nope, that's not data. Anyways, doesn't have as much influence as R. Kelly does. But yes, yes, I love Black women, and you should too. And if you don't, you need to start right now and repent for all of your sins. My name is Ivy. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.